The following principles represent my personal view on how your mind and your subsequent behavior can move you from toxic energy levels of the material world into the level of spirit, wherein lies the solution to any and all problems. Practice the presence of spirit. Practice awareness of the impossibility of being outside of the omnipresent spirit. Some ways of doing this are to remind yourself when you first awaken that this is a day that God will be with you at all times. Every meal you eat, be mindful of what it took for that food to reach your plate. When you make a phone call, drive in your car, or enter your workplace, begin to have this God realization. As you practice being mindful of the presence of the divine invisible spirit, you will notice a greater sense of peace, a stronger feeling of being safe and secure, a knowing that you are healthy and living from an inner sense of integrity. These feelings result from simply silently practicing, and I emphasize silently. No preaching and converting others to think as you do. Simply realize the presence of your source from which you are never truly separated, except in your own mind. Your mind is the substance of all matter. Take a look at your right hand. Would you describe it as intelligent? No, because intelligence is the mind that directs your hand to move, to grasp, to make a fist, or wave goodbye. Your hand responds to the directives of your mind. Now think about every other organ of your body, your heart, liver, spleen, all of which were created to act in accordance with the central divine intelligence within them. If you so elect, your entire body will respond to the directives of your mind. Direct, insist, demand if you must, that your mind be in harmony with the divine mind, and your energy will go from slow to fast, from material to spiritual, from problems to solutions. Mortal sense needs to yield to make room for spiritual awareness. When confronted with a problem, stop in the middle of it and remind yourself that God is on the field and that you can surrender to that realization. I received a letter from a woman who was diagnosed with cancer and given only a few months to live. She decided to keep this information from everyone she knew, including her husband and children. She rented a cabin in the northern Minnesota woods and spent every day silently yielding her mortal sense and opening herself to spiritual guidance. The days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, with every day devoted to communing silently with God and releasing her attachment to her body and the cancer that had invaded it. She began to feel stronger as she no longer identified herself with her body. When she returned to her home, she never again even visited a medical facility. Today she thrives some 9 years after her terminal illness diagnosis. The commitment to yield her mortal sense and allow the calm, peaceful, serene, loving presence of God to handle the cancer was what she intuitively felt was her pathway to healing. Send love to and pray for your enemies. Harboring anger and hatred toward anyone guarantees that you remain in low energy fields where problems will continue to crop up in your life. I suggest that you examine every relationship in which you feel judgmental thoughts of anger and hatred. Replace those thoughts with energies of acceptance, kindness, and love. You will have to make a personal commitment to, first of all, notice what you are feeling, and then exercise your ability to choose to send love. When your heart becomes pure, your enemy becomes your friend, or even more significantly, your teacher. Your worst enemies are your greatest teachers because they allow you to examine the emotions of anger and revenge and then to transcend them. They give you the exact tools you need to elevate yourself to the spiritual energies that provide your solutions. God is not withholding. Imagine for a moment that you know a person who has stored away everything you want or need for your happiness, but refuses to let you have them unless you do his bidding, ask properly, and behave as he wants you to. Furthermore, this person can heal you of the disease, but allows you to suffer for now, and maybe will consider healing you at some future date. This would not be a very nice person, let alone a very nice God. Is this the kind of withholding God that you imagine the spiritual energy to be? In the scriptures it clearly says, "And everything I have is yours." These 6 little words may be the secret you've been looking for to raise your awareness to a spiritual level. Whatever solution you seek for whatever problem you may have is available to you in this moment. It is in you, not in some mythical Santa Claus-like being floating around in the heavens, dispensing goodies to some and baddies to others. You are always connected to this universal source of present moment energy. You are not being punished. Just as God does not withhold, God does not punish. The idea that God could be punitive is inconsistent with spiritual awareness. It is a mistake of the ego or the intellect to believe there is evil for which God must punish you. You correct an error by bringing truth to it. The idea that God will condemn you is not consistent with a God of forgiveness. You believe either in one power or two. The power of one is the power of love. Evil exists first as a thought of non-good or non-God, and then it is that thought which is acted upon. But it's all an error. If it's not good, it's not of God. And if it's not of God, it can't exist, since everything is of the one power we call God. You can correct all of the errors of your belief in separation from God by bringing that higher, loving energy to those areas of your life that are plagued with problems. They are not punishments. Rather, think of them as errors to be corrected.